You need to build on it. You need to use this as a solid foundation and add to that, A, the self-confidence that you are from such a fine academic institution, add leadership, add vision, add entrepreneurship, allow your creativity to emerge and flow, and build your credibility. And trust me, success in life is not so difficult. A lot of people dramatize it. A lot of people exaggerate it. Let me tell you, success is not measured only by money. Success is not measured by page 3. Success is not measured by the amount of media coverage that you have. Success is what makes you happy. Trust me, success is ultimately what makes you happy. You have a responsibility to your families. You will get married, you will raise children. You have parents, you have siblings. You are a unit, a family unit. When that family unit is happy, you are happy. You got to let yourself reach that stage by making full use of A, what you're given, and all of us are given, what you learn, and finally, how you apply it. Let me now talk about how I live my life, because that seems to be much talked about. This issue of king of good times and all the rest of it, fine, I'll explain this king of good times concept because I wrote it. I'm in the beverage alcohol business. Advertising is banned. I cannot advertise. Number 2, I'm heavily overtaxed. Probably the most heavily taxed industry in India. Number 3, I'm hugely overregulated. Probably one of the most regulated industries in India. Let me explain how. Any bottle of booze that you see, 65% at minimum is government duty. 65% is government duty. Then you add the cost of making it. It's got to be at least 15%. So 80% is gone from what you pay. Out of that balance 20%, the wholesaler has to survive, the retailer has to survive, the transporter has to survive, and the manufacturer has to survive. That's a very difficult survival proposition, you know. It's like being dumped in the middle of the Arabian Sea without a life jacket. So you've got to think outside the box. How do we propel this brand, create demand, create an aspirational level? I talked about dreaming. I talked about wanting to achieve a certain level. So I figured out that one thing that would appeal to India, rural India and urban India, is aspiration, because everybody wants to do one step better. So we created an aspirational lifestyle branding image around Kingfisher. Now how do I communicate that? I don't have advertising, I don't have radio, no TV, no nothing. No billboards, no hoardings. Well, guess what? I'm the walking advertisement. It's simple. It's just thinking outside the box. I don't have as much money as the Ambanis. I don't. I don't have as much money as many of the top 4 or 5. But I still live my life with one driver in my mind. I need to be the king of good times. And I can afford to be the king of good times. But why can't you? You have a good time doing what you're doing. You are conveying a very studied, controlled, well-researched impression. People in the media asked me 2 days ago, he says, oh, you're the Indian version of Richard Branson. I said, I'm sorry, I don't agree. He said, oh, what do you mean you don't agree? This is crazy. I said, yeah, ask him, he should be the British version of Vijay Mallya. think outside the box. Why should I accept that I'm the Indian version of Richard Branson? I mean, yes, UB has come a long way. I have done many things differently. I've made aggressive acquisitions. I've launched new products. I'm now coming out with what we codename Project Tiger, which is the first time ever, I think probably certainly in whole of Asia, that a huge new innovation in the spirits industry is being launched by us. I'm very hopeful that it's going to go places, but it is a race. It's a challenge. You know, you just have to keep getting better and better and better and better. I mean, take the Kingfisher calendar, for instance. I guess that means give me one. I know, I've heard that before. But every time people kind of wait with bated breath to see this great calendar, I realize I have to do better next year. So, you know, it's a constant process, this process of innovation, this moving of the bar. The raising of the bar, the moving of the goalpost is a never-ending process. But you know, finally get used to it. And then it's fun. It gives you a huge sense of satisfaction to be able to raise that bar and meet or exceed it. And that all comes from within. I mean, I don't have somebody telling me, well, okay, fine, I give you 65% or 70% marks for this year's calendar, so next year you've got to achieve 75% marks. No, it doesn't work that way. It ultimately then starts coming from within. Quite apart from, you know, our market share and stuff like that, you know, I'm personally proud of many things that I have done. Kingfisher, I gave you the example. In 1980, which is 25 years ago, Kingfisher was in the archives of UB. Kingfisher was retired. And UB Export, Jubilee Lager, and UB Royal, these were the brands that UB was actively selling. I came across this old label, Kingfisher, and I just loved it. And I loved the word. I started dreaming about, you know, the vibrancy of Kingfisher, the colorful Kingfisher. I went to my father, I said, I want 10 lakhs of rupees to relaunch this brand. I got a year full. He said, you don't understand, 10 lakhs of rupees, do you know how much it is? It's a fortune, you're a waster, you're this, you learn nothing, blah, 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 blah. Finally, perseverance paid. I didn't let go, I bugged him every day. But I got 2 lakhs. I said, okay, it's a start. And with 2 lakhs of rupees of a marketing budget 25 years ago, today every third bottle of beer sold in India is a Kingfisher. It is sold now in 55 countries, produced in 4 continents, and we're proud that this is probably the first truly Indian homegrown brand that is multinational or global. And that was one of the reasons why we even used Kingfisher as the brand for the airline. It's all about brand leverage. We've created an equity, we now must extricate returns on that brand equity. Another thing that we're pretty proud of is the fact Bagpiper. Bagpiper is the largest selling non-Scotch whiskey in the world. The largest selling Indian whiskey in India, the largest selling spirits product in India. I launched that too. And I launched it when I was given my first charge in 1980 of Herbertsons Limited, when I came back from the US. And it was absolutely cold. For the very first time in the history of the Indian spirits business, we actually employed professional tools. We actually got an ad agency. We explained to them we cannot advertise, but we would like to leverage all available marketing tools in terms of research, in terms of understanding the profile of our consumer. Today the buzzword in marketing is SECA, SECA plus. In 1980, nobody knew what SEC was. If you ask anybody SEC, probably talk about the Securities and Exchange Commission of Washington. No. Back then, we used unconventional tools, but we used those tools to better understand the positioning of a product. And even though we couldn't advertise it, we used brand ambassadors. I remember we launched Bagpiper with Ashok Kumar. And subsequently it has had Shatrughan Sinha and, that kind of very macho Bollywood type image. But once again, because we cannot communicate, we chose a personality to portray the personality and the equity of the brand, much like I do for Kingfisher. I'm still, by the way, searching for another King of Good Times, and I'll retire. But essentially, there's a method in what we do. It's not just about, leading a great lifestyle. We work very hard, and there is a methodology, a carefully measured methodology in the way we do things. And it's fun as well. That's most important. You enjoy what you do. When I ran into a huge amount of trouble with the then very draconian Indian environment of huge legislation and control, you probably heard, it was when you probably were very young, in once again the early 80s when VP Singh was the Prime Minister, there was India was known as being in the Raid Raj. Lalit Thapar was put behind bars, senior Mr. S.L. Kirloskar was put behind bars. I mean everything, fortunately I didn't go behind bars, but I was very much on the list. I was disillusioned with the system called India, disillusioned with the fact that these babus sitting in various departments with petty minds were using the draconian powers bestowed upon them in legislation, were completely transformed into extortionists, where no amount of logic would come to bear. And I decided I want to become a non-resident India and free myself from the shackles of this very persecutive kind of environment. I decided to move out of India. Of course, I'm allowed half my time here and stuff like that, so it isn't as if I abandoned UB. But then I got bored very quickly. And I came to know that the International Berger Group, that's a paint group, many of you may have heard of Berger. Well, guess what? There was a time in 1988 that I owned Berger worldwide. I went to Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank and Citibank. I asked to see their chairman. I made them a simple presentation. I said, I do not have a dime in my pocket, but this is my vision, this is what I want to do.